Hello, Sooner Nation, OU Insider subscribers, OU softball fans, people who may be a little heartbroken or a little stunned, disappointed at what happened just a few minutes ago here at Devon Field. OU losing to Florida in 9-3 here on Monday, forcing an if necessary game on Tuesday. As you can see behind us, the Devon Park Hall of Fame Stadium behind us. This definitely isn't Brian's car. Right, Brian?
Yeah. This is. You can hear the ambiance, the fans getting ready for the Texas-Stanford game. Yeah, it's great.
We just wanted to give people an inside look at how Brian lives. You know, a real glimpse, right? Now we're actually outside. Fans are filing in for Stanford, Texas, the other Women's College World Series semifinal. Schedule got a little wonky today with the rain. OU would normally be playing right now, but that game is being forced tomorrow. I am Jesse Crittenden. This is Brian Clinton. We're here just to break down what was a pretty stunning turn of events. OU losing 9-3, dropping a game by 6 runs, a game OU never led, a game Florida pretty much had full control, and we'll break down a couple of different things. But Brian, I'll ask you. You and I we're both here. We're just outside the stadium. We were both in the press box watching that game. Just your immediate thought as it became clear OU was going to lose, and now their season's on the brink.
It seemed like one of those games where before things really even got started, Oklahoma was already kicking itself. Like there were already, whether it be stepping on the plate and losing an opportunity to get on base, whether it be the dive missed attempt out in right field, trying to figure out, or left field, trying to figure out what's going on there, and it leads to an in the park home run. It was just a weird game from the get-go, and it was one of those situations where Oklahoma had pretty much put themselves in a position to lose only 2 innings into the game, and that's very rare for that to happen with a team like Oklahoma. It was odd. It was so uncharacteristic of this team because it was mistake after mistake, and by the time Oklahoma started to try and gather some of that momentum back, they were already in a 4-run hole, and then you look at what Florida was able to do at answering every time. This was just Florida's day, and it wasn't Oklahoma's day.
Well, that's the main takeaway, Brian, is Florida's offense. You mentioned they went up 4-0. They finished with 10 runs, only the third time all year OU has given up 10 hits, only the third time all year OU has given up double-digit hits. This is their 9 runs is tied for the most they've given up in a game this season, and I think that comes to the biggest question the biggest point is OU and Patty Gasso going with Nicole May to start this game instead of Kelly Maxwell. Obviously, Kelly Maxwell had the fantastic outing against UCLA on Saturday, 11 strikeouts, held UCLA scoreless. But today, OU goes with Nicole May to start, and she just struggled. Didn't have it against Florida's offense. She gave up 6 hits through 2 innings. She actually gave up back-to-back hits to start the 3rd inning. Patty Gasso pulls her in favor of Kirsten Deal, but it just didn't matter who was in the circle today. Brian, Florida's offense just was in a groove the entire game. And Patty, I just left the press conference a few minutes ago. Patty she was asked, and Patty basically said, we have to trust this pitching staff. I have to have confidence in them. Nicole May had played really well the last couple times she'd been in the circle, but and I think also the thinking is if there's an if necessary game, Kelly would be available for that. Well, the if necessary game is here, and I think in part because Kelly wasn't in the circle. So I'll hand it to you. Were you surprised at how much this pitching staff struggled, and was that, in hindsight's 2020, but was that the right decision to rest Kelly for an if necessary game?
It's tough. I think that there's 2 ways that you go about it with Kelly's situation, and in my mind, the right thing to do is put her in the game and try and close Florida out right away, not think about the if necessary. When it gets to that point, sure, it would be great to have your best arm available, but in my mind, I think you try and put Florida away as early as you possibly can and go into Tuesday with a day off between the championship series and the semifinal. That's really ideally what you want, and I think that Oklahoma, trusting the pitching staff is absolutely going to be necessary if they're going to win a national championship this year. The team that they would potentially face on the other side of things, be it Texas or Stanford. Texas has an incredibly deep pitching staff, and there's just not another Nigeria Kennedy out there. So it's a tough spot for Oklahoma to be in. But when you combine the fact that their staff struggled and the offense, it seemed like every inning it was warning track. That's as far as the ball went. And there were so many opportunities just left on the board. And I think with the run support, with 3 runs, Oklahoma wins a lot of games. When you're playing an offense of Florida's caliber, you've got to have better showings than that. And not having Kelly out there, it really showed today. It really showed that Oklahoma has maybe a true weakness this year that they may not have had in the last couple of seasons.
Well, and you mentioned the lack of run support, and especially without Kelly Maxwell, that was just going to be necessary today to get consistent offense, and that just wasn't there. I mean, look, heading into the fourth, Florida's up 4-0. OU did not get a hit through the first 3 innings. They didn't get a hit through the first 3 innings. And then you add on top of it, you mentioned the Cassidy Pickering mishap, not tagging up on third base and going home on Riley Boone's line out. Patty actually took responsibility for that after the game. She said, "That's on me. I own that." She did not. She misread that situation. Then you think about the other times, even when OU started to get some offense. I mean, Kinsey Hansen got the RBI single in the 4th to finally get things going. Tiare Jennings hits the 2-run bomb in the 5th. There were still missed opportunities. I mean, you think of the Tiare Jennings 2-run bomb. Right after that, Ella Parker gets a hit. Alyssa Brito gets a walk. You've got 2 base runners, and Cassidy Pickering on her first pitch grounds out. OU stranded 10 base runners today.
Yeah.
That just adds even more insult to injury. And I think the other thing, Brian, is it was really noticeable not having Alina Torres in the lineup today, with Sydney Sanders continuing to struggle outside of her home run against Duke. It's just been a struggle for her for months now. They had to play Avery Hodge instead of Alina Torres today. Avery Hodge, just not a great offensive player. I think you felt those weak spots in the lineup, and the run support isn't there. And I'll be honest, I was pretty surprised. Look, Rothrock, the freshman from Florida, she went all 7 innings today. I thought she was pretty good for the most part. I was pretty surprised OU couldn't find more success or more consistent success against this Florida pitching staff that has been fine all year, but not great. I mean, they have a 2.88 ERA on the year. They're fine, not great. But they needed more run support and simply didn't get it today.
Yeah, it's odd. Oklahoma's run through the Women's College World Series so far has been almost opposite what you would expect if you look at things from an ERA standpoint as far as who they're facing. With Duke, they put up 9 runs. Duke's been fantastic all year long. UCLA and Florida were ranked 7th and 8th in the field as far as ERA goes. Florida had the worst ERA of any team in the field that made it here to Oklahoma City. So it's been backwards. It's been a little different. I wrote down a couple of things here as far as the lineup goes. 1 through 5 went 3 of 15 today. Yeah, Jada Coleman going 0 for 3. Alyssa Brito went 0 for 2. Cassidy Pickering 0 for 2. Sydney Sanders 0 for 3. Those are their top 5 RBI leaders on the year. It's really tough to see where Oklahoma is right now because it's frustrating. You could see it on Jada Coleman's face. You could see it with Cassidy Pickering. You could really tell that they were frustrated that they weren't getting a hold of the ball as well as they thought that they could. And, especially in a situation where you've got somebody like Kirsten Deal out there in a bad situation trying to keep her team in the game, and her offense just isn't able to do the things necessary to keep them in it, and it's tough. And so going into tomorrow, obviously it's got to be Kelly Maxwell in the circle. Season's on the line. I do like where Oklahoma has seemed to rebound in situations like that in the past. That DNA is still in this team. It's just, this is not the ideal situation you would hope for Oklahoma, but I do think there's an opportunity for some retribution.
No, I agree. And look, they basically said that in their press conference. I mean, Kinsey Hansen said the things she's learned about this year's team specifically is that they're at their best when they get punched in the mouth. And you can't deny, they got punched in the mouth today. They took the first punch. It was emphatic, and Florida never let up. And yeah, it's not ideal. Look, you don't get a rest. For one, you have to get through Florida. That's first off tomorrow.
Right.
But even if you do, you don't get a day off before the Champ Series that starts on Wednesday. It's a tough spot. And yeah, if you lose tomorrow, your season's over. But if we've learned anything about this OU softball team, if we've learned anything about Patty Gasso, it's that they are at their best when their chips are down. And right now the chips are down.
Yep.
This is the toughest part of the season. They've got to rebound. I do think Kelly Maxwell being in the circle will help, but that's not alone is not going to beat this Florida team.
Right.
So, outside of Kelly Maxwell, what else does this softball team need to do tomorrow?
They need to replicate what Florida did. They need to get the long ball going again, because if Florida is going to make the most of it, you had 4 home runs. For Florida today, you had 4 home runs,
including a inside the park home run.
Yes,
that
which was totally odd,
baffling.
But Skylar Wallace, when she's on, she's one of the better players, if not the best player in college softball. She's incredible. She has been for her entire career. And you need players like you can't have Jada Coleman going 0 for 3. You can't have Alyssa Brito going 0 for 2 and stay in games with teams like Florida. You need those experienced players and your big bats to step up. And if you don't have that, you see what that happens in games like this. So I think Oklahoma needs to have the seniors step up. Kenzie Hansen had a good day, and I think if you can get some more success from the other parts of that offense, that would really help them out tomorrow.
Tomorrow, do or die, if necessary, elimination game. We'll be back here at Devon Park. We don't know the game time yet. This whole schedule is pretty wonky, but we know OU is playing tomorrow, and we know it's the biggest game of the season. Huge. The stakes don't get any bigger than where they're at tomorrow. We'll have you fully covered over on this OU Insider YouTube channel. We'll have you covered over at OUinsider.com. Make sure to visit there for updates from this game and for coverage from tomorrow. Till then, from Brian's car, we'll see you next time.